Blackbird is probably one of the greatest acoustic songs ever written. And how many millions of people have memorized that song just by learning where to put their fingers? Put finger here, put finger here. It's funny that we don't tend to teach what these chords are and how they work, because actually these chords are really, really useful for us as guitar players, both as acoustic guitar players and electric guitar players. We can apply them to all kinds of songs if we know what they are and how to use them. Now, I'm not actually going to play Blackbird in this video. There are already hundreds of videos that will show you where to put your fingers and how to play Blackbird. This is about understanding how the song was written and how we can use those chords. Also, then we won't get a copyright strike. So the song is in the key of G, which is not too hard to figure out. I mean, the song does start here, right? And of course, this is essentially just a G chord. And you might have noticed that when you play through all the chords in the song, he keeps hitting the open G string over and over and over again, right? G is the root, so that means that it can actually be played on every chord in that key. That doesn't mean that G is in every chord in that key, but that means that it's going to harmonize nicely with every chord in that key. And that's the essence of what's going on here. We have taken each chord of the key in like a really tricky formation so that the G string is always open and that we can continue to play that G string over each chord. So let's look at the first couple chord shapes. This is G. I mean, it would be G if I was holding cowboy shaped G anyway, right? There's really no difference, but we don't need to hold the whole G chord for that because we're only playing the root, G, a B string, which we're gonna keep playing throughout, and of course that open G string we talked about. Next step is, right, that's an A minor chord, because if you think about it, if I was holding a cowboy A minor chord, it would be pretty much the same, but remember we're keeping that G string open. So we have, and we're just gonna leave that finger off because again, we're not using that string, so it doesn't matter. Now what's the next one? It's B minor, maybe. Let's look at a B minor bar chord. It would be, B minor bar chord would be like that, except we're leaving the G string open. So we have just those two notes plus the G. So what's he's done? He's done G major, A minor, B minor, and that's really just the first three chords in order of the key of G. If I just played them as normal chords, it would be G, A minor, B minor. And if you know just a little bit of theory, you'll know that in a major key, we have 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, 7 is diminished, but we'll get to that later. If we walked through all of the chords in the key, we would have major, minor, minor. And we can remember how these basically fit so far, these basic chord shapes. Now let's go up to the next one. The 4 chord would be major. Think of it like this C major bar chord here. Some people play it like this with all the fingers. Some people play it like this with a double bar system, I call it. But we're gonna take the root and we're gonna take the B string notes only. And we're gonna play the G string in the middle because we keep the G open, right? And we have, so that's a C major chord. Pretty much. We have a C, we have an E, we have a G. Yeah, it truly is a C major chord. So this becomes our major shape. I could make this a major chord if I moved it up to G. Look at that. Why is that a G major? Because there's my G root, right? And again, it's like a G major bar chord, just like that was a C major bar chord. But I'm using this little tricky system, what I call the Blackbird chords. So I have G major and I have C major. What would D major be? D major would be here. That's pretty nice already. I have G major, C major, play whatever pattern you want. If you're learning from these videos and you enjoy playing acoustic guitar, you could also check out my book. It's called Guitar Strumming Like a Pro. It's available on Amazon and the link is below. And there are lots of pop songs out there right now that use these chords. I'll try not to play them. There's so many right now that do this and variations of this. Did they take it from Blackbird? Maybe. I mean, these chord shapes were in classical guitar. These chord shapes are in other things. And that's probably where Paul McCartney got them from. So let's put the whole scale together. We're starting at the bottom in open. So the shapes look different because they're in open, right? A minor, B minor, C major, D major. But now, let's go to the next chord. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sixth chord we said is minor. So we have to use the minor shape, right? Here we're going to imagine our minor bar chord, but we're going to do the Blackbird trick, which is the root, the B string note, and the open G. You can change up the pattern. So we have G, A minor, one chord left. We have the 7 chord. And we said before that the 1 is major, the 2 is minor, the 3 is minor, the 4 is major, the 5 is major, the 6 is minor, but the 7 is diminished. That sounds hard, but it just turns out that it's going to be really easy because these chords, when we're just taking 2 notes of them plus the open G string, we don't really have to worry about the diminished. It means that we're not playing that complicated note of that chord. So in fact, we can just play the minor shape. And there it is. It would be F sharp minor. So we have G, A, B, C, D, E minor, F sharp minor, G. They sound really nice, and the trick that works is the fact that this G string is an open string and therefore we can keep it ringing on all those strings. We really like the sound of one thing changing and one thing staying the same. Humans love it when chords connect in certain ways that have similarities and differences. They sound very smooth to make those changes. And using these chords is precisely what's going on there because the G note stays the same on each step of the way, right? So now if you do learn Blackbird, you'll understand it better. You'll be able to memorize it easier as well because you'll be able to see the chord shapes that he's using. And when you understand the chord shapes, they're much easier to remember. And you could write your own song like Blackbird. Put your own rhythm to it, change up the order of the chords, stay on some chords longer and some chords shorter, put some beautiful lyrics to it. Those are not easy to write. Those are some great lyrics in that original. So there you go, a video about Blackbird without playing Blackbird. If you're looking for more great guitar content, I'm going to put another video on the screen here for you. And you could also check out our Patreon group, which is Guitar Lessons Vancouver, and the link to that is below. I'm going to make a new video here on YouTube every week for, well, as long as I can. My name is Blue Morris. I'll see you in the next one.